Level O, wood wand. Wood wand. What's nice about our wood wand is that we can find, hopefully, not everybody's fortunate to have trees around them. So I have to remember that having trees is a privilege. And so if you have trees around you close by, be grateful and appreciative that you have trees close by, because you may be able to find a wood wand. Because individuals that do not have trees around them are going to have a very hard time coming across this implement. So recognize that if you find, or the wood wand finds you, and you've been chosen by the wood implement to work with the wood implement, that you're fortunate. And not everybody gets to have that privilege of working with wood. Remember that. Air, breathing. Breathing is important. As we're going through our level low, we're focusing on our breath, we're focusing on posture, we're focusing on foot placement. Everything that we learned in Intuitive Movement 101, right? But we're thinking about breath and the importance of breathing. And as I said, with wood, this stick that helped me remember that what I take for granted, not everyone has. And breath is something that we take for granted because we do it. It keeps us alive. It's basic. You don't have to think about breathing. You just do it, right? And we live. But that's just surviving. The basic breathing that our bodies are doing unconsciously is just barely keeping our bodies alive. I mean, it's more than just barely keeping our bodies alive, but when we do our part and consciously breathe, our bodies operate more efficiently. It's that simple. A big part of it is how our consciousness operates when we're breathing fully. Because if we're operating from a consciousness that feels calm and relaxed, because it's breathing fully and consciously, that feels strong and safe, its resources are being used for self-reparation, because no false alarms are being set off by the nervous system, then that vessel is going to be operating at a more optimal capacity than a vessel that is in a state of distress and crisis, and that whose resources are being directed towards protection while it's navigating in a space that it does not need to be in protective mode. And the problem that happens when we're operating in protective mode is that we communicate with others from protective mode. And when we communicate with others from protective mode, we don't necessarily use kind language. We don't use kind language, we don't use kind facial expressions, we don't use kind body language, we don't use a kind tone of voice. And when we express our preferences, whatever they may be, without kindness, then they are less likely to be accepted. They are more likely to be rejected. So, by simply doing our part to breathe, just breathe consciously. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. That's if you want to stay alert. If you inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, you might put yourself to sleep. There's a difference between the two. Part of it has to do with how slowly our body's getting the air out, and other factors as well. The human body is very interesting, but that is an interesting thing to work with and experiment, which is inhale slowly through your nose, exhale through your nose. You do that for a minute or two, and then switch to inhale through the nose, and exhale through the mouth. We want to inhale through the nose. Why? Because our nose is a filter. Our noses are filters. And the more slowly that we breathe through our noses, then the more filtration gets done. And the more oxygen is absorbed by our bodies before we express it and get the CO2 out. And that is O with our wood wand.